Hey guys, it's Matt here. There are so many FPSs on the market nowadays. In fact, so many that if you want to find out for yourself which ones are actually worth playing, you can easily get lost within this endless list of masterfully crafted pieces of entertainment. From the story-driven open world of Cyberpunk 2077 to the online madness of Call of Duty, and from the intense door-to-door tactics of Rainbow Six Siege to the demon-slaying action of Doom, there really is something for everyone. And yes, of course, many of these titles have withstood the test of time beautifully and are even considered to be some of the best games ever made. And in my opinion, the subject of today's video is right up there as one of the greatest. Battlefield 1. This massive all-out warfare First World War FPS has become a thing of legend ever since it took the world by storm in 2016. And I'm personally so happy to see that after all these years, it still has a very active player base. Which definitely says something about the quality and replayability that is on display here. But today I'm not gonna start yapping about how great this game is for an hour and a half again. Though if that's something you're interested in, you might want to check out this video. No, instead this video will zoom in on one very specific aspect of Battlefield 1 that makes it so awesome and also keeps part of this community active to this day: Easter eggs. Or to be even more specific, Battlefield 1's ridiculously convoluted but equally satisfying and rewarding scavenger hunt towards the Peacekeeper revolver. This beautiful secret weapon has given the people who are willing to take on the challenge of unlocking it all the bragging rights within any server they join. All made possible by the people who matter the most in this regard, the Battlefield community itself. Now, if you might have stumbled across my TikToks or YouTube shorts, you know that earlier this year I took on this crazy concoction of Morse code and smoke monsters in order to unlock the damn thing myself. And since I still had all the footage lying around, I thought to myself, you know what, I might as well make an entire, more detailed video out of it. So, grab yourself a notebook, get underwhelmed by the amount of lame-ass dog tags you're going to unlock, and get ready to dream Baconian, Visioneer and AdBash ciphers for the upcoming days, as I'll show you the definitive way of unlocking Battlefield 1's Peacekeeper revolver. Okay, so first up, some early preparations before we go into the actual Easter egg. Most importantly, massive thanks to all the people that put hundreds of hours into finding out all the steps back in the day. I tried to find and mention as many of the original Easter egg hunters for this video, so I could at the very least give them some sort of recognition for their hard work. You can find all of them in the description down below. Down there you can also find timestamps for each individual step, and of course I put links in the description for all the tools you're going to need to solve this ridiculous Easter egg. This includes recording software, preferably OBS Studio, audio software like Audacity or Reaper, links to all the ciphers and translators, links to the BFEE and Battlefield Discords, and of course the fully written Easter egg guide made by the Battlefield Easter egg community, which is by far still the most useful tool for this treasure hunt, despite being slightly outdated here and there. Needless to say, all these programs and URLs give PC players the upper hand here, since playing the games as well as keeping notes and transferring files can all be done on one machine. While console players will... well, I just want to say I'm so sorry you're going to put yourself through this hell. All of the above can be done free of charge, but do keep in mind that in order to complete this entire Easter egg, you're going to need both Battlefield 1 and all of its DLC. Also, since you're going to have to do all of these steps in public servers, chances are very high that other people will randomly join as well. And if you know anything about people in online games that join while you're doing something that requires a lot of attention and precision, well, you can probably understand why I temporarily rented my own server to do some of these steps. This gives you the convenience to kick people out of the server at your own accord, so you can finish all the steps in peace. but you're going to have to decide for yourself whether or not paying money to rent the server is worth it. So finally, grab yourself a pen and paper, open up a Word document, keep an unholy amount of caffeine within an arm's reach, and please, for the love of God, don't try to finish all of these steps in one sitting. I finished everything over the course of 1 week, and I highly recommend you to take your time as well. And so with that said, let's get into it. Battlefield 1's Peacekeeper Easter egg is made up of 7 main steps, all centered around the initial dog tags and skin you need to unlock in order to eventually get the Peacekeeper itself. Now the first 4 steps of this Easter egg can be completed in any order you want, but for the sake of convenience I'm just going to stick with the order in which these steps were initially released. And that's why we're starting with a dog tag named A Beginning. For this first step you only have to search through the vanilla maps. On all of these maps, there are 5 possible locations where you can find a pair of headphones and 1 MCOM station. I advise you to take one of these maps as your base of operation, since you're going to have to do a lot of running back and forth throughout this first step. Most people use the map Suez, since it's a wide open desert map where you can easily find the headphones and the MCOM station. Also, since Battlefield 1 has dynamic weather, you could possibly join a server with a sandstorm or rain in it. In this case, either find another server, or if you rent a server, change the weather conditions, since storms or rain will heavily interfere with the audio recording you're going to have to make here. So, if you found your first pair of headphones, take it over to the hidden MCOM station. If done correctly, the MCOM station will give you a repeating secret message in Morse code. Now comes the tricky part. Record this message with your chosen software, in my case OBS, convert your file into an MP3 file, put that file into your audio software and change the view to spectrogram. In this way you'll get a visualization of the audio you're hearing, which means you can now see the Morse code. Keep in mind that each separate program has differences, and a program like Audacity gives you a much clearer image of this message in comparison to what I used, which is Reaper, but both still work nonetheless. So, write down your code, put that code into a Morse code decryptor, and the result will be the next location you'll need to visit, which is always one of 3 set locations within one of the vanilla maps. This is where the BFEE guide comes in, which has an extended overview of which message corresponds to which location. For me, the message was as follows. Travesy Attic Perron, old methods compromised, must acquire new key, will miss drop off if delay or incorrect location. Which means my first location is Travesy Attic Perron, this specific location on the map St. Quentin Scar. If everything so far is done correctly, you'll hear this sound as a confirmation. So far still doable, right? So where's the difficulty in all of this? Well, first of all, the messages you receive from the MCOM station will be different every time you join a new server, which means every individual person will get sent to a different new location. And once you've started, you cannot quit the game before finishing this entire step. Also, this step definitely isn't finished yet, because the process of getting headphones, going to the MCOM station, decrypting the Morse code and finding your new location has to be repeated 9 more times. And not just that, because the secret codes get increasingly more difficult to decipher. So, back to Sue as you go, find yourself another pair of headphones, record the message at the MCOM station where this light now turned yellow instead of white if everything is done correctly so far, and the Morse code now gives us a bunch of random letters with the message, remember first rule, if compromised, L-pill. Which means nothing until you realize that the tiny little mark you found in the previous step turns out to be a hint for this step, meaning we actually have to reverse this part of the message, and I am now sent to Crate Jabal Jafar, this specific location on the map Sinai Desert. Wait for the confirmation sound again, write down the little hint found here, and go back to Suez where the now purple lit MCOM station says, a bunch of random letters again, with the message, second rule sighting, report and wait. Investigating alone could lead to death. Right after dropping to my knees and thanking the BFEE community again for figuring all of this out back in the day, we put this piece of the code into an @bash cipher, which gives me the next location. In my case, the back of this tank on the map Monte Grappa. And we repeat the steps again. Write down this hint, back to Suez, headphones, and the now green AMCOM will give me the Morse code that translate to yet again a bunch of random letters with the message: third rule, if taken by the others, discover means to communicate to house. This time, use a Caesarean cipher here, with the numbers set to 19, and my code became Coastal Fortress Adriatic. This fortress wall on the map Empire's Edge. Write down the hint, back to Suez, etc, etc, and the now colorless AMCOM Morse code will say, again a bunch of random letters with the message: fourth rule, kill all on same trail, remove dog tags, and report to house. If you reverse this message and put it through a rail fence cipher with the rail set to 5 and the offset to 0, this will give you the next location. For me it was Castello Isle Adriatic, again a location on Empire's Edge. The hint given here was the following, and when doing all the steps on Suez yet again, the light turns gold and the AMCOM gives you the following Morse code, translating to a bunch of E's and T's, followed up by the message: Morse messages being intercepted, beginning full encryption soon. Again, this probably doesn't make any sense to a normal person, but when changing the E to an A and the T to a B, you can put this message through a Baconian cipher. We end up with yet another string of random letters, which then have to be put through another @bash cipher, which then gives you the next location. In my case, Tree Train Apremont. This train carriage on Argonne Forest, where we'll find this hint. Back on Suez, the light on the AMCOM is now pink and the Morse code spells out a bunch of letters again. Put this string of letters through a Visioneer cipher with the cipher key we learned in the previous hint, Edward. And my message that came out was: bucket marshlands thaw, allies can be clothed as enemies, enemies can be clothed as allies. Always use the ID. So off we go to this location on the map Foul Fortress. The light on Suez will now have turned line and the Morse code will say, well, you get it, a bunch of letters again. When put through Visioneer cipher again, with the alphabet key being Z, the cipher key George, and the auto key variant turned on, that will give you the following message: Ruin Venture Peron, final, believe everything, report everything. And so I went to this location on St. Quentin Scar. If you were able to make it this far, you'll be glad to know that we almost reached the end of this step. Go to Suez once again, where the light on the AMCOM station will now be teal, and while you can still decipher the message by reversing the message the Morse code gave you, putting that through a Visioneer cipher with the alphabet key Z, cipher key London, and auto key variant turned on, and then reversing it again, it will always be the same message for everyone. So do go to the AMCOM station to trigger this step, but the next message will always be: Giant Shadow, Windmill Balcony, look up. So that's exactly what you have to do. Go to this windmill on the map Giant Shadow, wait for a flock of pigeons to pass you by, and eventually one of them will swoop down and give you the A beginning dog tag. Congratulations, step 1 of 7 is now complete. Going back to Suez one more time, the AMCOM light will now be bright red and demonic sounds can be heard while a small message will repeat in Morse code. Masterman. Most likely referencing Charles Masterman, head of the British War Propaganda Bureau during the First World War, but definitely remember that name and write it down somewhere, because it's an important clue towards the next step of the Easter egg, a conflict. For the second step of the Easter egg, we're going to this pillar outside the large chateau on the map Soissons. Here we can find a secret message, which has already been solved years ago, but here's how it was done. This entire string of letters is encrypted using a 4-square cipher, as suggested by the 4 squares right here on top. Input this string of letters, and then, just like this message tells you in a pretty cryptic way, for the key top right, you're going to input the word master, followed by the remaining letters of the alphabet in reverse, excluding the letter J. Same step for the key bottom left, except now you use the word man. The message this will give you is: inside the chateau when all is dark, there you go and you will find the sparks. This is obviously referring to the nearby chateau, and you having to do something to make it go dark, which is done by destroying all the light sources inside the chateau. If done correctly, you'll hear this. You have now started the segment of this Easter egg that is, in my opinion, the most difficult one. The 7 candle holders within the chateau can now be interacted with. Your main goal is to make sure that all 7 of them, which are now turned off, are all lit by the end of it. Each one has a different function, which is completely randomized each time you enter a server. For example, by interacting with the first candle holder, you could turn on the 3rd and 5th one. The second one could turn on the 2nd and the 4th one, etc. Already quite the puzzle, but you also have to take into account that each time you interact with one of these candle holders, its function will move over to the next one in a counterclockwise order. Now, there used to be a community-made app that could help you in solving this puzzle, but since that has been taken down in recent years, unfortunately you're just going to have to do this one by good old-fashioned trial and error. The best way to start is by pressing one of the candle holders 7 times and seeing how all the other lights respond to it. The prompts of the interact button have now made a full circle back to the one you started with. Now, it'll still probably take you some time, but eventually all candles will be lit and you'll hear this. Continuing the Easter egg's most challenging step, you now have to go outside and you'll see that small sandbags have appeared around this statue. It's pretty difficult to see, but these sandbags actually refer to positions on a grid. What grid, you ask? Well, again, that is pretty difficult to see at this point as well, but it's a grid made up of floor tiles within the chateau. Also, you might have realized that the outside pillars on the chateau can now be interacted with. This all comes together in a rather convoluted way. Let me explain. Despite having different dimensions, the grid outside and the one on the floor tiles are actually one and the same. And the grid tiles marked by the sandbags have to be lit up on the floor tiles inside the chateau in order to finish this step of the Easter egg. You can light these tiles up by interacting with the pillars outside, which all correspond to either a row or a column on the grid, but you don't know which one is which yet. So this is all going to come down to trial and error yet again. So grab yourself a pen and paper and draw an 8x8 grid. Then mark the tiles that have sandbags on them, since those are the ones we're going to have to light up. Yet again, the location of the sandbags is completely randomized for everyone, so you can't half-ass it. Number the outside pillars from 1 to 16, excluding the ones in the corners, and start interacting with them. So start off by pressing the first and second column. If nothing happens, it means that these numbers don't intersect on the grid. So continue with the next one, 1 and 3. Continue doing this until you found all numbers corresponding to the first column. So this not only means that you now have an entirely lit up column on the floor tiles, but you now also already know all the numbers that correspond to these rows. So now continue by taking number 3 as a starting point and start doing the same thing, excluding the numbers we already know. 3, 4 is obviously not going to do anything, since we already found out that the first row corresponds to the 4th pillar. So instead you're going to check 3, 5, then skip 3, 6, get through 3, 7, 3, 8, etc. After finishing this row, we now have a pretty good image of all the rows and columns, which means we can also fill in the remaining coordinates of the grid. Make sure that any unnecessary lights are turned off and start turning on the tiles that actually correspond to the ones marked by the sandbags. If all of that is done correctly, you'll hear another spooky sound, black smoke will appear, and you will be rewarded with the A Conflict dog tag. Do keep in mind that if you trigger this Easter egg with more than one person, only the person pressing the final pillar gets the dog tag. Step 3, an escalation, might be the most rewarding step so far, since we're finally getting something other than a dog tag. This one starts with a bunch of clues hidden throughout the In the Name of the Tsar DLC maps. You can recognize these clues by the skull symbol that accompanies them. This all starts on the map Loop Go Pass, where when standing at this specific spot, you can see a light signaling this message, with these strange characters and words actually being Russian Morse code for the numbers 310412. On all the other locations you'll find words which somehow correspond to these numbers, except for the 0 in the middle. The Easter egg community did all the heavy lifting here again, because they found out that when putting these words together in the order defined by these numbers, you will get the word Sorb, referring to the location of the lighthouse on the map Albion, while the remaining letters spell out the code CAEEB and then a blank space followed up by FEAADDAD. It's very important that we leave out the space in between, because this is a part of the code we don't know yet. Now go over to Albion, and in the center of the map around the large radio tower you can find several green crates. On these crates are a total of 9 panels you can interact with. Click all of them once in any order and make your way towards these small houses on the foot of the hill. In one of these houses, this one to be precise, you need to destroy this cabinet in order to reveal a hidden button. Click this one as well. Now go back to the top of the hill and click the 9 panels in any order yet again. Go back to the house again and now press this button a total of 4 times. Go back up the hill again and go prone next to the radio tower. You'll hear a message in Morse code, which you're obviously going to have to decrypt yourself again. Just like in step 1, make sure you pick the server without stormy weather. You need to be able to actually hear the message. This message are the 5 missing letters you still needed for your code. Keep in mind that this code changes every time you enter a new game, so don't leave this match while you're decrypting your code. Write down your 5 letters and make your way over to the small village next to the lighthouse. These 6 houses contain small lanterns you need to destroy before going into the lighthouse itself. In here you'll find 6 buttons, each representing a letter from A to F. You probably guessed it already, but you're going to have to input the entire code by running up and down the stairs and pressing the buttons. If done correctly, you need to run all the way up the lighthouse as quickly as possible and interact with the large light on top. Not only do you encounter that black smoke from the previous step here again, but you'll also be rewarded with arguably the best looking weapon skin in the game, an Escalation. Keep in mind that there's a 5-second time period in which you can interact with the final button. Anyone who touches this button within those 5 seconds will get the skin. Step 4, an Omen. This step of the Easter egg will solely take place on the Zeebrugge map and focuses on the special Infiltrator kit, both released in the Turning Tides DLC pack. You can start by thanking the Easter egg community yet again, since their hard work made it so that you can skip the entire first half of this Easter egg. But I will show you how they did it. By standing on very specific places on the new DLC maps while being equipped with the new Infiltrator kit, you can hear Morse code which translates the clues that point you towards the next location. The first Morse code mentions Eagle is down, referring to the crashed plane on Achibaba. Going there reveals Morse code mentioning Canley 6 Landing, which is a location on one of the boats at Cape Hell. Here you'll get a message mentioning Sister Sub, referring to the stranded submarine on Heligoland Bight. And here we get the final message which brings us back to Zeebrugge. Go to the water tower at Objective A, as referred to in the previous message saying Investigate Apple Overlook. This is the point where we're actually going to start nowadays in order to get the dog tag. On top of the water tower you will hear yet another line of Morse code. Decipher this code in the usual manner. The message that will be revealed is a Latin quote, except some of the letters are missing. Now you might have seen that every single message found within the Infiltrator kit started with a bunch of seemingly insignificant letters and numbers. But this is a Battlefield Easter egg, so of course they have a use as well. They correspond to the letters missing in the Latin quote. Best thing to do right now is go to the BFEE guide again, since they wrote down all the letter combinations for you. So the only thing you have to do here is find the letters that were missing in your specific quote and write down the numbers corresponding with those letters. The 8 numbers you end up with have to be translated into Morse code. So find yourself a Morse code alphabet and write these lines down as well. Now make your way over to the buildings labeled 1 and 3 in the center of the map. Both buildings contain 4 large generators with 5 lights you can turn on and off. Working from left to right, you'll have to input the 8 numbers you've translated into Morse code onto these generators, with a light turned on representing a dot and a light turned off representing a dash. If done correctly, this will happen. Which means we're one step closer to the Peacekeeper with the Omen dog tab added to our collection. Step number 5 indicates the starting point of the last few actions we need to take in order to get the Peacekeeper. Mostly referred to as the final 5th step called an awakening, you're actually going to have to get 2 more dog tags before making that final push towards the special revolver. Starting with the Angel Sighting dog tag, which we're going to unlock on the Apocalypse DLC map River Somme. Keep in mind that all the previous steps have to be completed in order to start this one. So that means the 3 dog tags and the Escalation weapon skin. Use any kind of explosive to clear the rubble of this big metal circle inside the ruined sugar mill. It'll reveal a panel which looks and functions the same as the ones we saw on the Zeebrugge map in the previous step. The first code we need to input can only be found when reloading the M1917 with the Escalation skin equipped. 0627. Input it by translating it into Morse code again. Lights on meaning dot, lights off meaning dash. As always, you'll hear a creepy sound when completed. The lights will start flickering, which is of course another Morse code, but luckily has already been decrypted by the Easter egg community again. The first line of the message means we have to go to the A flag on this map, destroy the chimney of this house, and press a secret button. The last 2 lines of the message refer to the skulls on the Escalation weapon skin and the amount of bullet holes they have in them. Despite the code already being known, if you want to find it yourself, it can be quite tricky, since some of the skulls are pretty well hidden. Like this one you can only see when reloading. Write them down most to fewest, open and close with none. Translate this entire string of numbers into Morse code, go back to the sugar mill and input all of it into the panel. Of course, don't forget to click the confirmation switch on top every time you enter the number. If done correctly, this'll happen. And of course, you're rewarded with the Angel Sighting dog tag. Next up, make your way over to the ruined castle on the map Caporetto. Here you can find 5 angel statues, 1 up front, 3 behind it, and 1 up in the distance. Focus your attention on the first 4 for now and read the description of the previously unlocked angel sighting dog tag. These are descriptions of the ways you're going to have to destroy parts of these angel statues. The one up front has to be destroyed completely. Then you shoot the head of the one on the left, the entire torso of the middle one, and part of the wing of the one on the right. You will then hear another terrifying sound. Now you might have realized that the sound came from the direction of the final angel statue up in the distance. On the back of this statue you can now find a hidden button prompt. Press it, watch the statue explode, and check your inventory to see that you've completed this step. The belly of the beast dog tag is now yours. And that means we've collected everything in order to make our way towards our final reward. Battlefield 1's Peacekeeper revolver. Double check one last time if you really unlocked everything and then equip either the beginning, a conflict or an Omen dog tag on the front and either the angel sighting or belly of the beast dog tag equipped on the back. Also use the M1917 MG with the Escalation skin as your main weapon. Now go over to this trench near the E flag on the map Passchendaele. You'll see a collapsed tunnel entrance. Destroy the sign hanging above it to reveal both this familiar skull and 2 plungers in either corner of the entrance. The first sentence of the belly of the beast dog tag's description tells us that the key to the entrance of hell is unknowable. Keen-eyed Easter egg hunters might have also spotted this line of Morse code underneath the 0627 code inside the M1917's ammo box, which also translates to unknowable. When inputting this line of Morse code, using the left plunger as a dot and the right plunger as a dash, a bomb will go off and reveal a third plunger. Pressing it will transport you to an underground tunnel system in which you can walk into 4 different directions. At the end of each hallway is a plunger which activates a trapdoor. Your task is to navigate through these hallways and get lower and lower in order to reach the end goal. But how do you know what way is the right way? Well, back in the day, the Battlefield 1 Easter egg community was of course hard at work to solve this Easter egg, but it wasn't the only one they were after. Around 2018, rumors of a potential new Battlefield game started brewing up, and around that same time these interactable valves suddenly popped up on the map Fort de Vaux, all culminating in another Easter egg that would be dubbed The Room. And within this Easter egg that would eventually lead to the very first announcement of Battlefield 1's successor Battlefield 5, the Easter egg community also found clues surrounding the final step towards the Peacekeeper. Long story short, the hints hidden within the quote-unquote valve scrawlings refer to the 15 directions that the player needs to take in order to navigate the labyrinth. Each time a trapdoor drops you onto the next floor, you're going to have to walk through these corridors as fast as possible, since poisonous gas will start filling the area. Each time you reach a plunger, wait for your health to regenerate before activating it and stay as close to the plunger as possible to minimize the amount of fall damage. If you manage to do all of this without dying, which can still happen very easily even if you execute everything perfectly, the final hallway will result in a dead end where you will finally be rewarded with a legendary Peacekeeper revolver. I've said it a bunch of times in this video already, but I can't stress it enough. Massive thanks to the initial group of people who unraveled the entire search surrounding the Peacekeeper. A gun that in and of itself has even more secrets hidden inside of it, but that's a subject for a different video. Also, congratulations to all the people who finished this Easter egg themselves as well. Some of the shorts I talked about earlier suddenly got picked up by the algorithm, and a lot of you have commented on them sharing your experiences getting the Peacekeeper. Which not only was a lot of fun to read, but also it's just so cool to see how lively and supportive the Battlefield 1 community still is. Honestly, congratulations, you've earned yourself all the bragging rights. Now, do I think this Easter egg is worth it? It really depends. If you're still actively playing Battlefield 1 on PC, I'd say yes. Not only does the gun look really cool, but it's also a very effective hand cannon. As you could have seen in this video, it takes a lot of time to get it, but finishing each step and getting this amazing weapon feels incredibly satisfying and rewarding. For console users, I'm a bit more hesitant, since recording everything, transferring it over to your PC, decrypting everything, and then going back to your game can be such a frustrating process, while PC users can easily do everything on just one machine. I'll leave it up to all of you to decide whether or not all of this is worth the trouble, but at least I hope that if you're willing to take on the challenge, this guide is able to help some of you out. Thanks for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you've unlocked the Peacekeeper as well, or if this guide helped you or maybe even motivated you to take on the challenge for yourself. Getting into contact with other gamers and reading people's comments has always been one of the most fun things I can do because of my channel, so definitely let me know your thoughts down there. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, consider subscribing to my channel since I will eventually touch on all the other BF1 Easter eggs as well, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
We have taken both objectives. Wait for the enemy artillery barrage to stop firing.